It is very awkward when I'm pulling pictures off of a woman's Instagram and my wife is walking by.
Put that beautiful sugary sand on the beaches. Those were little mini ecosystems that years ago the Division of Fish and Wildlife and the DEP identified as essential fish habitat.
When you buy this $500 combo, be prepared to leave it there until striped bass fall next December in South Jersey. Because you ain't going to use it unless you're going north.
If I know that there's a nice solid bite possibly waiting, like it's tough for me to sleep. Like I'm just kind of still like a kid in a candy store.
If you want my honest opinion, shut the season down. Period. I could even care less about it.
Okay, well that's a tantrum. Come on, come on. Hello and welcome to the Fat Dad Fishing Show podcast and live stream. My name is Rich Natoli. I am the regular host of this show. Tonight we're going to go back to the me and co-hosts talking about the past couple of weeks and what to look forward to for September, because we had the unofficial end of summer today on Labor Day, and we're going to go around the horn, talk about the last couple of weeks, and we're going to go into what our plan is for September before we kind of hit like a little pause as things start closing and limits are restricted on different species. So with that, I'm going to welcome on regular co-host Ed Gobo. Ed, how you doing?
Hello. I'm doing good, man.
Good.
Hanging out, ready to talk fishing.
Yeah. And I'm going to say for the people that are watching the live stream, those podcast listeners aren't going to get to see this, but you guys on the live stream, pay attention right now to the screen because you're going to see something that is just horrifying. We're going to see the new and improved John the Mayor Creeley. John, welcome to the stream.
It's beautiful. I know. You can actually see a chin, trimmed up sides. Yes. New and improved.
We just got to get rid of the man bun.
Right. For the podcast listeners, John has shaved that big glorious beard that everybody loved a couple of weeks ago, and he's still got the goatee, thing going on, but you look so much different. You look a lot younger. You look like a child now.
Yeah, it's the ongoing joke is, for some of you that don't follow me on Facebook or anything like that, I'm actually going to first shift after 8.5 years of being on third shift. So the ongoing joke is it's like re-entering society. So I have to make myself a little more presentable here.
Yeah,
I think his new boss doesn't like a hairy face.
Well, he's got to feel it out. He's got to go in with his best foot forward and then figure it out as time goes on. But yeah, well done, John. You look like, as Bill is saying in the chat, you look like an adult.
Yeah, you don't sleep under a rock anymore, so got to look a little presentable. Yeah. Well, let's welcome everybody to the live stream and podcast. So far in the chat, we have a few people. We have Rob, we have Bill, Kenzo, Jim, KBB, Mark Smith, Kevin O'Shea, Andrew Politsky, and Billy Ackerman. And we have more people viewing, just haven't chatted yet, so I don't see that you're there. Oh, and 609 Fishes, we got Joe in there. Welcome, guys. This one it's a holiday, so we didn't want to have a guest jump away from their holiday plans and their families, and also we typically have less people watching the live stream on a holiday, but we wanted to make sure that we had something good for you guys to tune into, and we thought it would just be a good time to go through and talk about some of the recent things that have been going on the water with us. And John actually had some things go on this weekend, so he's like, yeah, he wants to come on. He was out fishing with Kristen, right, from Philly Girl Fishing, and Nick Devereaux. And Ed, I saw you and your kids have done well. I've been out a couple of times. I definitely have some things to share. But before we do that, we do need to go through a couple of things. The first thing that I want to put up on the screen right now is the reviews. For those that aren't aware, we've been asking people to do reviews on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or whatever it's called today. And we actually entered people, anyone that put a review up there, did a rating and a review, were entered into a contest to win a hat, a Fat Dad Fishing trucker's cap.
and we've gotten a lot, so we're sharing 2 an episode right now. And Ed, I just want to see if you would like to do the reading of the 2 that we're sharing this week, and I think it's a good idea for you to do it.
I'd be honored. So we had Frank P. Great content, 5-star review. He says, "Wow, what a great podcast and stream. These guys are awesome and know a lot about fishing. Bought lures from Moi. Amazing quality, and I even steered him in the right direction to buy a kayak. Thanks again, Ed. Don't miss an episode." And then we had Mike M., who is actually a winner of the giveaway I did and never contacted me. So this is your second shot. Get a hold of me, and I'm not going to say nothing more. So he says, "We are great and informative. Like all shows and podcasts, you learn a lot from Rich and his guests about anything inshore and kayaking." So thanks, guys. That Frank P. I talk to him on a regular. He's a really cool dude, and I think if that's Mike M. that I know of, then he's pretty awesome too. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think it is him. I maybe I'll text him and see. But we're going to do the giveaway tonight, because what we said is the trucker cap will go to somebody who did a review at any time since the creation of the podcast through the end of August. And even if I haven't shared your review yet, you're entered in. So I'm going to pull that up on the screen, and we're going to do that giveaway right now. And I got this from Ed. Ed, this is how you did it. I was just going to do a random number generator to see who won. And
I like the Wheel of Fortune wheel, and it's got sound effects and stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, this has a sound effect. So I'm going to go through and spin the wheel. And these are all the people that put in a review. And thank you to everybody. We have 21 reviews that are written out, and we have 25, 26 ratings. These absolutely help us to get more people listening to the podcast, and it continues to grow. So it's up actually 30% in listeners since we started the giveaway. So let's give this a roll right now and see who comes up. Oh, and he's here. He's here watching right now. Kenzo Jim, you got the trucker's cap. Well done.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good job. Good job. So reach out to me, send me an email, rich@fatdadfishing.com, and I'll get one out to you. And what the hell, we'll just spin it one more time and do one more hat tonight.
Man, you're feeling generous, huh?
I am feeling generous. And oh my God, you got to be kidding me.
Nope, respin.
No, Mike M. So here's your chance, Mike. You get 2 prizes. You get Ed's from earlier, and you get this one if you reach out. Now maybe I won't text him.
I wouldn't. See if he's as loyal as we hope he is.
I'll wait until I see him on the water, because I don't know if it's actually him or not. There's a lot of Mike M's in the world. But congratulations, you guys, Mike M. and Kenzo Jim, who is in the chat right now. We'll send out the trucker cap to both of you. I really like the hat personally, and I think you'll like them too. They're pretty good quality. They will fade over time though, as you get salt water all over them and fish guts. And mine actually smells like a dead flounder right now, the one that I wear when I'm out on the water, and my dog really likes it.
You can wash them things, right?
I don't know. I don't wash. I know that gets rid of the good mojo. And I would say it actually smells. So, well, I'll go into this story in a little bit. So thank you guys. Good job on those. Kenzo Jim and Mike M. Just reach out to me, get me your information, and we'll get those hats put together, printed up, and sent out to you this week. Actually, I'll do it tonight or tomorrow whenever I get an email from you. But let's go into the recent past, and let's start off with John. John, first of all, the last time that we talked to you about what you've fished for was about 2 weeks ago, right?
I think, yeah,
about 2 weeks ago. So let's cover the last couple of weeks first, and then after we all go through our last couple of weeks, we'll go into what's coming up for September, and then I just want to kind of try to keep it organized a little. So why don't you go through, how have you been doing over the past couple of weeks?
All right. So August 26th was Friday. I think you were up in LBI area. I was down south again. Just needed to get on fish, just to break some kind of curse I guess I had looming over my head. Hit Avalon with Joe Billups and Ben from Crabbing and Fishing. And Ben's first words to me was, I want to catch weak fish like Rich has been catching. No problems. One of the flounder spots we're going to, I know, holds weak fish. And as we approached it, told him, hey, look, you could either fish for weak fish or you could fish for flounder here. I put a pink gulp on with Achilles up top, and screen was lit up, reeled up 2 feet. Boom. First fish in was 17.5 inches. So it was a nice size week. Caught a couple more, and then I had a tide runner hit. And when I got it close to the kayak, it wrapped itself around the prop. So, yeah, snapped the line. That was fun.
We gotta do a little class with you on how to keep things out of your gear on that kayak.
It's not the gear. It's just when they get close to that boat, man, they go bananas.
That's what happens when you're a rod builder. You're probably more nervous about jamming that rod tip down as deep as you can into the water, whereas I spend most of my day with the rod tip in the water.
Yeah. I've came to learn to let go on that a little bit, so it's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, but it goes to the other side. Just dip that rod tip as far and as fast as you can, just to keep it off of that prop.
Yeah,
I'd say flip the prop up, but don't do that. That'll just
I
cause
gotta
all
say,
kinds of problems.
in all the years I've been fishing out of these kayaks, I've never had one get in the prop. Knock on wood.
Yeah. Watch next week. Now you're doomed.
I haven't had one go in the prop. I have had a line go in the prop when I was trolling. If you're trolling 2 lines and you stop to fight a fish, then you inevitably will end up running over one. And then I had one a few weeks ago. I don't remember what I was doing, but it got caught in there, and that sucks because you have to take the prop off so you don't have the braid burning, in the bearings and everything. So
yeah.
All right. So you had a tide runner.
Had the tide runner, lost that. So it was getting towards slack tide, moved up towards the shallows, towards a drop off. And this is where I'm impressed, and I'm glad that some of our viewers are paying attention to what we're talking about. First thing was Ben looks at the flats, casts us into the grass, knowing there's a 20-foot drop off right after the grass. And as soon as he did that, I think he put a 20-inch flounder right in the box. So it goes to show that he's paying attention to what we're talking about. And then Joe said the same thing. He went off the flat over it, says, hey, there's that bait ball that Rich was talking about. So I'm going to get right over the bait ball after I come off the drop off, and I'll pick something up. As soon as he did that, he landed a 19.5-inch fish. So
weak fish?
No, they were flounder.
They were all flounder? Okay.
Yeah, they got their overs. I had to work. I mean, I caught a lot of scared 17s that day, a lot of 16s. And I think I went home with a 17.5-inch fish that day towards the end. But the wind started picking up, and it was just time to pack it in. So those guys struggle to find slots. I probably could have put another slot in the box, but it was just too windy, and I was not dealing with it. So fast forward to this Saturday, I was out with Philly Girl Fishing, Christian, that some of you may know we've had on here, and Nick Devereaux. I know Kristen's been trying to set some stuff up with all of us, so I was able to get out. And then Nick did mention too, come on up the point, head out with us. So we jumped on the Norma K. We did the two trips. We did the morning and the afternoon trip. You had to be there to witness what Kristen did to me. She had a boom box in her tackle box, and she pulled it out and put on BC Boy Sabotage on my first fish that I pulled up. Blasting that. We were pretty sure it was an over when I got it to the water. We think that she may have hooked into like a chub mackerel on the bottom, and it just started going crazy. We crossed lines while I got the fish up, and we were trying to get the net going, and the fish spit the hook.
Oh, so she was hooked up when you crossed lines.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so So Kristen, if you're watching or if you watch the replay, that's not the story he gave me right after. He made it sound like you just crossed his line drifting.
Oh no, we're saying that on purpose. That she sabotaged me on purpose.
In reality,
it
would be nobody's fault if two fish are hooked up on a party boat.
It don't even matter. You're on a party boat and you cross lines. It's done.
Yeah,
you can't control it. It's inevitable.
So why don't you give a little review of the Norma K? I've heard a lot of really, really good things about that boat, but I've never been on it.
So the Norma K, I was on there, I don't know, 2-3 years ago for a tog trip, and it was packed. So it was not the greatest experience I had. Nick said he's been fishing with them. And I'm like, all right, I'll go. It was a little crowded for Labor Day weekend. You know it's going to be crowded on the AM trip. But there was enough room to be comfortable casting and pitching, dragging bait. You know, there was enough room. Mates were on top of the fish. If you called for a net, they were right there. They made sure you had bait going the whole time. So I have no complaints. To me, it was a full turnaround from the last time I've been on that boat. So definitely will go back. They're talking about doing some 12-hour tog trips, running from Point and head down south a little bit. And the biggest thing for them in the wintertime is they have heated handrails. So that is a big plus when it comes to tog fishing.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, there'll be a lot of one-handed fishermen that day.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Did you have any other trips out besides that over the last couple of weeks?
No, that was it. Just those 2 trips. And it's nice to jump on a party boat or charter boat once in a while. The pressure isn't on you. The pressure's on the captain.
Yeah.
So it was nice just to go out there, not think about anything, and just cast and hook up.
I agree. It is nice when you get to do that. I haven't done that for a while though.
Yeah, it's been since April. I think my tog trip in April was the last time I've been on an actual party boat or head boat or, charter boat that I've actually been able to just let go.
All right, Ed, how have your past couple of weeks been?
I've been busy with jigs, honestly. I got out on the 28th when I lost my beard.
Yeah.
That was so I took out I had the big water out. That was like the second or third trip with that one. And that boat, let me touch on that real fast. That boat is awesome. Against current, steady pedal. And I got off of it and I didn't even feel, taxed like I would with the Salty. So if anybody's on the fence, definitely if you're looking at, the big water, scoop one up. We went out. So it was funny. Yesterday I went out with my dad and my boys, and my dad was telling me about that picture you put up, John, being on the Norma K. He's like, oh man, I used to fish off that boat all the time. Apparently my grandfather used to he had a big giant bayliner. Like, I don't even know how big, but he used to keep it up north. And they would follow around the Norma K. The days before GPS and all that stuff, they'd follow that thing around. So that was pretty cool story. And then, like I said, me, my dad, and the boys went out, fished the ocean, got the boys in the ocean for the first time. It was pretty flat and calm. So we messed around out there on a couple of humps that we found. Nothing really biting. Inlet was on fire though. I mean, we were drifting the inlet, and boats. Everybody around us was catching. My youngest Connor picked up I guess 17 and a half, 17 3/4. But the tide just got to be too much. We were rolling like 2.5, 3 miles an hour. So we went in the back and messed around for a little bit and headed for the barn. So pretty quiet, but yeah, we got some fish to show for it. So
yeah, well, you got some fish. You got your trimmed beard, so your wife is happy. I trimmed mine too, but I just did it because I'm a normal person, not because I got a different job and not because I caught a fish. All right, so I'll go through mine real quick. I've done a couple of things. Honestly, I don't remember all of the trips. I've gone fishing a lot, people, so I don't remember all of them. So I'll talk about just a couple of the more memorable ones that I've had over and I'll really go through two. So last week on Thursday, I went out with Don, and we went out on his skiff, and we went not offshore but near shore out towards the reef, and it was a good day, but man, was it tough. The current was just like kicking. So we're out there, and even when there was no wind, we were drifting with the current at about 1 mile per hour, but the rest of the current was just pulling us. So we were like 3-4 plus ounces just to hold bottom in anywhere from 40 to 65 feet of water. So it was tough. It was tough holding the bottom on that. The wind kept kicking up, which would mess with the drift. Trolling motor was doing a good job, but you don't want to spot lock when you're flounder fishing. So it was a decent day. I think Don caught more fish than I did. I ended up with one at 19 inches, which was a nice fat ocean fish. So it wasn't skinny. It was pretty fat. And that was pretty much the day for us. Now it did get really choppy. The wind kicked up and things started going off forecast in the afternoon. So we had to make the run in through Corson's at that time, but it was a good day out there, but it was definitely a grind. I got to share this comment from Diesel. John, are you hungry? John, for those on the podcast, John is sitting here just eating his fingernails. It's disgusting. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
They come to talk fishing, not watch you eat your hands. Cut it
out. Stop it, John. Just because you're on mute doesn't mean John, that's like the guy that's in traffic picking his nose because he thinks nobody can see through his windows.
No,
everyone can see you.
I purposely pick my nose and look right at him just to see the reaction.
Sorry, I just had to had to stop for that. So
listen,
anyway,
we need to keep this somewhat professional, all right, guys?
Yes, I agree.
I'm not the one that brought up the comment, so
Diesel did, and he was right. He should have brought it up. Thank you, Glenn. So that was the day with Don. It was a good day, but it kind of goes into a theme, and again, in one of the past live streams, Ed, you defended the weather people. Me and Matusin went full blast against them. They were terrible on Friday of last week. Thursday night after getting back from going out with Don, I was actually loading up the kayak because I was going to go back-to-back days. And as I was loading it up, I got a text from Eric. Eric asked if I wanted to come down, go offshore, look for some mahi, maybe some cobia, but really the main thing was going to be, I think reef fluke fishing. And of course I was in. So, take a quick look at the weather. In order to make it, that means that the turnaround for me is I got to leave by 3:30 in the morning to get down there in time. So I wake up at 3:26. I look real quick over at the forecast for the day, and it was about 4 footers and a period of 9 seconds. So I'm like, or 3 footers in a period of 9 seconds. I'm like, yeah, his boat can handle that. We're good. So I head down. We break that inlet, and man, if those weren't 4.5, 5 footers stacked at like 6, 7 seconds. And he said, well, let's see if we can get on top. And, he hit the gas. We got going, and, 600 horsepower pushing that thing. We got up top, and man, we're hitting these waves, and the spray was going like a damn quarter of a mile off to the sides. And he just turns around to me and the other guy, and he's like, I don't think it's going to work. We're like, nope. So we turned around, we headed back in. We half-heartedly fished the inlet while we figured out what we wanted to do for the day. And we switched over to the skiff. So he has another boat. We jumped on the skiff and we went togging. And we did togging for as long as the bait lasted. We just stopped and we all jumped out and grabbed a bunch of crabs. Lasted about 2 hours. Man, at least 50 fish. The one guy, Jeff, he caught his first tog ever, which was cool. And there were a lot of them that were just under 15. So, and it was on a dock. It wasn't a bridge or anything. It was just a random dock. and one dock, and we were just bailing these fish the entire time. So that was a lot of fun. And then Eric and I just went. The other guy had to go, so we dropped him off at the dock, and we went out and we went fluke fishing. We both pulled in a keeper there, so we had I think they were both 19s, and we were fishing docks again for the fluke. So that was my time this week. I'll break right into. Actually, no, I won't do that yet. I wanted to show a couple of other results from the weekend, which was not any of us, but I think are pretty cool. So let me just add this to the stream. And for those on the podcast, this is a picture of Ray B, who participated in that tournament with Tight Lines over the weekend. And he won the largest striper for inshore and kayak. And it came in at 14.6 pounds. So this kind of goes into September fishing, right? Because striper starts to come back into the picture for a lot of people as we get a little bit cooler temperatures. And Ray just went out there and he won. So he came in first for that. Not only that, but he also had the heaviest fish. So 14.6 pounds, 33-inch striper. So well done, Ray. Congratulations on that.
Hey,
but
Rich, real quick before you break off on that, he won the overall tournament, is what he told me. He won everything.
Yeah, he had the biggest fish overall. Yes. In his kayak, fishing the backwaters, and he still had the that's kind of like Jake. He would have won the overall Calcutta had he gone into that in the Grassy Sound tournament.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Ray's the overall winner. So pretty cool. He's sporting the Fat Dad fishing team shirt with the Captain Hank's tackle on the back and the Creeley custom rods on the back. But we also had another person participating in that tournament. Ed, you want to talk about this one?
That's Don Vasquez. He actually, I don't think that was the same tournament. That was Rock the Dock.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so it's like there's three divisions: party boat, regular boat, and kayak, I believe. And I think Don took third with that fish. It was like a 22 inch or something like that.
Yeah,
so
nice fish.
Yeah, Don's been he's been part of the Captain Hank's crew since pretty much day one. So super happy for Don.
Yeah, good job to those guys. But it kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about for September. So as we go into September, for me, the fluke fishing is not going away. Fluke fishing is still going to be consistent throughout the entire month. If it were open all over New Jersey and New York and everywhere, it's open in Delaware, but if it stayed open, you would find that you are going to catch inshore, meaning backwaters and out towards the reefs close to the shore. You are going to be catching them for the next couple of months still. But I think that, you look at Don's fish there, and that's just one example. If you look at anywhere on social media, people are pulling in some really nice fish. Basically, Saturday and Sunday were just a ton of nice quality flounder being caught. So those stay in scope. Striped bass start to come into scope as well for me, and it's pre-migration. The migration is not going to start until somewhere at Halloween or after Halloween by a couple of weeks. If it's like previous years, it may not start until the end of November. So you're talking Thanksgiving. But you start looking at those, especially after the fluke season closes in some of these states. And we're going to start focusing on that a little bit more. But I also already did a little jump into the other thing, and that's TOG. TOG doesn't really get going till November 15th, John? Is that the date that they expand the limits?
Yeah, it's November 15th or 16th. You'll go from 1 fish to 5 fish.
Yeah. So it's still, for me, it's tough to go out and target unless you're just going for fun. So for me, I'm not breaking out the big gear until the 15th when I can keep more than one. And I'm just going to go light tackle for TOG going up until then. And just had a blast out there with Eric on Friday. So, kind of got me thinking, all right, I got to get back into the TOG because it's such a fun fight on light tackle. And that's what we were using. What other species are you guys going to be looking at over the next couple of weeks?
Next couple of weeks, I'm sticking it out for fluke this year. Last year, I kind of gave up and took September off. But but I'm gonna stick it out because I haven't had a real stellar year. So fluke, and then tog. I obviously striper, and then maybe perch. I'm gonna probably do another perch trip again. That was a good time.
Yeah, I would like to do some perch. Now, the last perch that I did was down in the Chesapeake, and that was a lot of fun. I might make a run down to the Chesapeake, the upper Chesapeake, the Annapolis area.
You don't even have to go that far, man.
You don't, but the benefit that we had fishing in that spot is we also were pulling in specks and Spanish, and there were potential redfish also in that area where we were. We didn't get a red that day though. But that's why we moved down. It wasn't just to go get perch.
I was gonna say, if you're going all the way down there for perch, I can help you out, bud.
No, it was crazy. It was as we went through that day. I have a video on it actually. I think it was perch, real small guys, but they're fun on little bass gear. And then we started catching some striped bass. Then we caught the Spanish. Then we caught some nice specks and more striped bass through the rest of the day. It was fun. It was a good day. It was at the bottom of a river. I was surprised that there was a Spanish there because it was a river. I mean, it was fresh water. I mean, it was basically almost all fresh water where I caught it. But yeah, so I was thinking I might do that. John, what are you looking at?
So I'm going to do one more trip of fluke fishing. I'm going to try and get on a boat. Don't matter where. I want to hit the reef again one more time. And if it's on a buddy's boat or whatever, maybe try to sneak some togging in on the reefs. And then at the end of the month, I have a trip with Scotty Sevens to finally figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong with sheepshead fishing because I can't figure it out. I'm going to pay someone and just be like, it's going to take 2 minutes. Yeah, this is what you're doing wrong. Change this. And then, yeah, I'll be good. My focus then after that will be going into sheepshead, speckled trout. I haven't done enough time on the redfish, but I'm pretty certain I know where they're at. So I'm not going to go too much into detail with it. And that's probably it. Just stick within those, the sheep, tog, speckled trout, and reds.
Right. I saw Scotty out on the water on Friday. He was actually right next to us. He had a client with him though, so didn't really get to talk. But yeah, he was working the sheep's head pretty well, and really working that boat for his client. I don't know if you hooked up or not. We were drifting, and obviously they were stationary, so I didn't get to see that. But that should be a good trip out there with him. Yeah. He's definitely got him dialed in. And it was funny. He mentioned in when he was on, he mentioned that his boat, people would look at it and think it's ugly. But all you have to do is see him up on top of that, standing next to his client, and see how much room he has on that bow to realize that is the perfect boat for what he does. Absolutely perfect boat. Like they weren't like leaning over each other. There was plenty of room, and he was able to work the boat, work really tight to the structure without an issue. So, yeah, it was pretty funny to see him out there. Though I'd never seen him on the water before until that time, but he was like focused, zeroed in on getting his client some fish. So we didn't really bother him. So you're going out with Scotty. And so you really have 2 trips that you're planning. And then is that all, or are you looking at just some in between?
I'm going to be laying low, especially the month of September, just those 2 trips. Like I said, with going with the shift change, I want to start getting back used to a normal life. Spend time with my wife, stuff like that, because it's been a long time since we actually had weekends together. So
did you talk to her about this first? Is she okay with this plan?
Well, the Scotty Sevens trips is on a Friday. So that's my vacation time. I can do that.
Okay.
The 17th, I did smooth her over on that one. So
I don't think Rich was talking about the fishing trips. I think he was talking about the schedule change.
Are you sure she wants to see you that much more?
At first she didn't, but then she did realize, hey, you know what? It is going to be nice.
My wife always tells me you can go fishing, and now that I've been fishing during the week, she says, you can fish on the weekends too. Like, I got the picture, hon. I got you. She works all week, and then I think I'm putting a damper on her weekends now that I'm around. So I might have to go a little bit more. That comes up to this week. This week's difficult. I was going to go tomorrow, and it's not the rain that bothers me. It's not so much the wind. I'll still fish, but I have a feeling that the next 2 days are going to be brutal in New Jersey with just the amount of water that's going to come down. I think that's going to mess things up. There's a lot of wind that's going to be going through. It looks like even all the way up Montauk Point and Block Island, where we were going to go for the trip with Captain John Halkias this weekend, it's looking iffy to me. You're talking 5-footers, long period, but the forecast from NOAA apparently says that some waves could double the 5-foot average. So I don't think John's going to want to take us out in 10-foot swell. That might be a little difficult. So it looks like I may be in this area. Now, the backwaters look good for Saturday. So maybe I will go on a weekend. Saturday might be the day for me to get out there. But we'll see. I had the initial plan was to go tomorrow and Thursday and then take the trip up to New York Friday, but God only knows what's going to happen. Everything's in question at this moment. So, but my plan for September is I am definitely fishing the fluke all the way out to the end of the season. And I'm going to start putting in other species. So weak fish. Now, weak fish are also going to end up moving out. They're not going to stay there through the entire, they may say the entire fall, but they will slowly start to move out, just like fluke has started to move out and offshore. But I'm going to keep focusing on the weak fish. They are all over the place. It's insane. I've had so many people say, hey, you're catching those weak fish. Help me find a spot. And several people I've said, try this one. You've got to get them here. And multiple people have come back and said, you're right. That's exactly where they are. And then I said, and here's why they were there. And then they went out and found their own spots using the same descriptions, just different spots that they picked out on their own. So if you're not catching weak fish in the backwaters right now, you really just need to look into it a little bit more and figure out the types of areas. Look for where two bodies of water or two currents come together. And if you can find one with a lot of structure on the bottom and some depth, you should be able to find them, especially if that structure is rocks or if that structure is a broken off sod bank or an old oyster bed. They will be there. And to fish for them, you can catch them while you're fluking. They will be down deep, but all you have to do is just jig a bucktail or jig a soft plastic, and you should be able to find them. And you can do the real steady high raise of the, don't do the little twitches, the little Skinner twitches. Do the big thing, pull it up, 2-3 feet, almost like a slow jig or a slow pitch. And you should be able to get them. And they'll eat natural baits. They'll eat peanut bunker. They'll eat the mud minnows or Achilles or whatever you want to call them. They'll eat squid. They love pink soft plastics though.
Bright colors.
Yeah. When in doubt, go with, pink and chartreuse. When in doubt, go with those. Just put them on a jig head and just work them. And you really should be able to catch a lot of weak fish.
Yeah, there's for weak fish, saltwater assassins, they make a green and orange tail, and they're deadly. They're real small too. They're like 3-4 inches, I think. 4 inch.
Yeah, and you don't need really big baits for weak fish. You don't. And if you've ever caught speckled trout, I know they look the same or very similar. They're totally different fish, totally different species. However, you catch them in the same spots. It's just with the weak fish up in the mid-Atlantic area where you have deeper areas, a drop-off for us is a lot more severe than what you're getting down south. You look at Florida as an example. A drop-off to them is like a 2-foot flat drops to 4 feet. Whereas for us, the drop-off is a 8-foot channel drops down into 20. So it's just a different scale, but you have to, different scale, but the same principles are what you want to look at for weak fish. Now, let me just address one of these questions, a couple of things. Billy is saying grass shrimp too. Grass shrimp is great for weak fish. A lot of people use that to chum for them, and then they throw out grass shrimp on a hook. You can throw it out on a small circle hook and that'll work fine. But you can also chum and then just use the artificials. But there are a couple of things you got to keep in mind. If you find the weak fish and you're not chumming, if you just find them in a spot, and a lot of people don't talk about this, but it's absolutely true. They probably will always be there at that same tide cycle. They do not move around as much as a lot of other fish. If they find a spot, that's their spot. And you can go back for weeks on end at times and catch them in the same spot, the same school. I was talking to a guy who went 9 weeks in a row. And it was once a week when they got to go out fishing, 9 weeks in a row to the same exact spot. And they were bailing the same exact size weak fish the entire time. Now that wasn't recently, but it was, it's the principle of, weak fish. They don't change just because it was 3 years ago. And I will say that the population does seem to be on an uptick. To answer one of the questions that Thomas had in the chat, would you say there's an upcycle for weak fish? There was the first documented upswing in population and recruitment a couple of years ago for weak fish. They are still really pressured. They're like at critical levels, and it's not due to overfishing. But I still don't keep weak fish. I'll never keep one unless I gut hook it, and it's pretty hard to gut hook a weak fish.
They don't even taste good. I don't know why people eat them things.
I love them. I think they taste awesome. They used to be my favorite fish to catch and eat, but so I don't necessarily agree with that, but I just don't keep them because I don't know. One fish is a million eggs, and so many of them get killed by these stupid dolphins that are going through the backwaters. The dogfish that are all over the place, the spiny dogfish are just crushing them. So no judgment on anyone. If you want to keep them 13 inches, you can keep one per day. Go ahead and keep it. I mean, if you catch it, keep it if you want it. I just don't do it unless, again, it's not going to revive. And so far, all of mine they're pretty hardy fish. They swim off as long as you don't crush their gills, which is very easy to do. Got to be careful when you handle them. So that's the weak fish, and I'm definitely going to be continuing to look at those. And I'll say it again, weak fish at night is a great time to catch them. So if you can find those spots, and especially if you can find those spots that I talked about, that description with a little bit of light, like near a bridge, here's a good spot. If you find a bridge or some buildings that have a lot of light over the water, but it has a basin, like a back bay area where all the houses are, a bay, a lagoon, emptying out into the ICW at that same spot. Fish that corner. That right there is awesome because you have the lights draw them into the area, but then you also have the two currents meeting each other. They just love those little corners there, and that ICW with that strong current, they'll sit right in there. Great time to do it if you're going to go night fishing. And you can usually find those spots on the bridges that you're allowed to fish in South Jersey, the small town bridges. They're almost always like a drawbridge going into one of the shore towns. And if you look off to the side, you're going to see a channel or something like that you can fish right from the bridge. So that's what I would suggest doing for weak fish. It's a really fun fish to go for. All right. What are the other questions in there? Ed, have you seen any?
Nothing.
You mentioned David Cohen saying NOAA weather wave forecast has been bad all year. Yeah, they've been terrible. They've been absolutely terrible. Now that could be good for our trip coming up this weekend because they're saying it's going to be terrible, but I don't know. I can't see them being right on, to benefit me. There was one thing that was brought up here by Bill. Rich, did you see the picture that he sent me of the striper bit in half by the bull shark? I did see that. And for those that have seen the video that I did with the shark that I caught, it was in the same spot, the same area that striper was bit in half. I'm not sure it's a bull shark that did it. I don't know who caught it. I don't know how good they are at telling one shark from another. Even if you've caught a lot of sharks, it's not always easy. I'm doubting it was a bull shark. And the only reason I say that is because I caught multiple sharks the size that would take the chunk out of that striped bass that was gone, with that bite profile, and they were all sandbar sharks. So they were all browns. I didn't see any bulls.
It was a thresher. I saw it.
Yeah. Ed claims everything's a thresher and he saw it, even if he wasn't there. Yeah, so I saw it. That no matter what it is, it was a really nice bite taken out of that. That was a big striped bass too. Really nice size backwater striped bass, and it was gone all the way up to the head. But I if you look at the video, you've seen the ones that were swimming around me. That's the size of their mouth, and they were all sandbars. So it could have been a bull. They do go back there. But just by the number of sandbar sharks that I saw, I'm going to guess it was probably misidentified and it was actually a sandbar, which for those that get concerned about sharks, they're like not threatening at all. They're actually the ones that are typically swimming all around you when you're out on the beach, in the waves. Sea bass. I'm not even sure what the sea bass season does. Coming up here.
It's closed now, isn't it?
It is closed. September 1st, it closes. Opens back
up to August 30th. That's right. We're in September.
Yep. I don't recall.
October 7th.
Thank you.
10 fish at 13 inches, the 7th to the 26th. And then they give them a 1 week break so that they can put their affairs in order. And then it goes to 15 fish at 13 inches from November 1st to December 31st. That's where you're going to see Heaven and L out there.
That's good. Let's plan a trip. I could go for some sea bass.
I'll go for sea bass. Yeah, why not?
Did Elle get her new boat? We got to find that out.
Well, she didn't invite us on her boat. She invited to.
We'll invite ourselves
see us
on her
out
boat.
There.
No, we'll invite ourselves on her boat. It's all good.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right, and. Yeah, so that's pretty much September. Are there any things in September that that we've missed?
We're good, man. She said yes.
Right. She said she'd tow us out there.
You want to do a mothership trip? I mean, I guess that's as close as we're gonna get.
That's a far ride for tow in October. You're going a little deep for sea bass.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to go until we go through some of this other stuff. Nick Devereaux, live mullet, used to crush the weak fish. There's a lot of live mullet in the backwaters right now. I will just confirm that. There's a lot of mullet back there, finger mullet. So the run it's going. They're moving. They're breaking the surface all over the place. And I'm talking up in Margate, in the LBI area, Margate, Avalon, Stone Harbor, Cape May. I've been in all of those, and I have seen plenty of them in all of those towns. So definitely, and they work really well for weak fish. Absolutely a great bait if you can get them. The next one is this. I want to bring this up. Any sign of Spanish in Absecon Inlet?
Oh, my homelands.
Yeah. So have you guys heard of it? I've heard of them. I haven't seen them though.
I haven't heard of anything yet this year.
Yeah. John, have you heard anything or seen? Not heard, because I've heard a lot of people say they're here, yet nobody has posted a picture.
I'm being honest. I haven't heard or seen anything, even in the Manasquan Inlet, and that's usually the first spot that I'll hear. There was a Spanish split all the way at the end towards Playground. Haven't even heard about it yet, so I'm going to say no, I haven't.
I can confirm that bluefish, yes, they're all over. I've caught a bunch, and shad. There are a lot of shad in the area. I've not seen anything reliable on the Spanish.
I will say this with the bluefish splits. When we were coming back in Saturday night, there was 5 or 6 boats parked up, and I don't think they were leaving. And it kind of worked out for the captain, because if they weren't leaving, he had his line ready for his bluefish strip. All he had to do was go right to the front of the inlet. They were stacked.
Yeah, they're all over. Actually, I had one of those sharks chase a bluefish that I caught. It's decent size too. It was probably around 20 inches. Nice fight on it. But yeah, he had a shark going after it the whole way, which made it an even crazier fight. it was going ballistic trying to get away. Unsolicited recommendation for wave forecast. Salt WX app has been pretty reliable. So I don't know anything. I think that's a pay app. However, these free apps are not working out well this year for these wave forecasts. So maybe people should check that out. Thank you, ADFD Angling, for that. Some of these things are terrible. NOAA's been terrible as well. So I there's nothing that I can personally recommend.
Yeah, I don't go offshore enough to even have an opinion.
Yeah, I plan on going a little bit out front near shore in the fall, though. I'm definitely going to do that especially once the stripers start going. Once the bunker starts moving, I'm going to be launching going out front. For a question real quick from KB, what size cooler do you have for your 132? Mine's real simple. I have a $5 Walmart cooler, soft-sided bag that I use on my kayak, and I typically don't bring ice, so I don't know why I have it, but if I do, I just put it right behind the seat in that little section between the crate and the back of the seat. That way it's $5. I have a whole bunch of them. I don't have to worry about putting the fish. I usually do put them in a trash bag before I put it in there, especially if I have ice, and I let the ice kind of go over top of it. But that way I can throw them out when they start to smell and I don't have to worry about it. I don't bring an actual cooler on the kayak right now. I've thought about getting some of the bow coolers. However, I've also seen people like Ben lose a keeper when trying to put it into one of those coolers, and they kick. Once you drop it, it's off the bow. So that's what I'm doing. Ed, John, you're doing the same things, right?
No.
Well, Ed, you don't bring a cooler.
Well, it depends. If I am like a tournament day, I have a Perception makes a cooler bag for the kayak seat. It uses those round bungee cord things to attach to the seat, and it's got this like plastic liner, so you can put fish right in it, and you just rinse it out with the hose.
Gotcha.
On a normal day, like if I'm fishing close to home, I don't even bother. I keep them in the water the whole time, and then I throw them in my wife saves me all those reusable bags, because we can't plastic anymore. So I have a whole wad of them in the truck. So I'll just throw one in there, and I'm 10 minutes from the water. So,
gotcha. John,
no big deal.
What cooler are you using?
I don't have the cooler. I usually use the stringer, and then I get tired of dragging them around. So I always yell to someone who has a cooler bag, give them the fish. But I'm going to go
several fish. Yes, I do end up carting around your fish from time to time.
Yes. I got to go back to Walmart and pick up another $5 bag, because I have the $5 bag for the drinks to keep them cold. So
I just put them together. Come on, man.
Look into that.
Hold on. We need to address this situation immediately. You won't put your fish in the same bag with your drinks?
Let's back up a step too. I worked overnight. I'd bring 7 Gatorades, probably down all of them in one sitting. So yeah. Let's take it easy there, Chief.
Okay, there's absolutely no excuse for anyone to use 2 coolers for drinks and fish or bait. It all goes in the same spot, guys. Just throw it in the freaking cooler. It's all the same thing. All you have to do, and especially in a kayak, is just lean left and rinse it a little, and you're good. You're all good.
Right, and it's not. I mean, cans I can see get that kind of being a little gross, but they're Gatorade bottles.
So that's why you have your shirt. You can get it in that that little groove.
Yeah,
that's all your guys' choice. So.
Oh, all right. Well, that's what I do.
You are too bougie for me, man.
John's too highfalutin for people like me. And this Eric, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that was you. So that's Eric. That's who I was out with. ADFD Angling. He has 2 awesome boats that pretty much open up the entire fishery in New Jersey to him, New Jersey, New York. And I was grateful that he invited me to go out. The weather didn't cooperate, but man, it was a fun day just bailing those tog and catching some fluke fishing docks. which again, a lot of people don't do, but that's what we did. And we had a good time and both came home with dinner. So it was definitely a fun time. All right. So I think that's going to cover everything that we have. We wanted to keep this to under an hour. It is a holiday. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're going to have guests coming back on over the next couple of weeks. We're just final phase of confirming the next one, but we're going to have some really cool people coming up over the next several weeks. We are going to do these episodes from time to time to check in with, just to make sure we focus on what you guys want to talk about, any questions, and what the local fisheries are doing to us. And but man, I'm really excited about some of these guests coming up. And because I don't have the dates, I'm not going to say their names, but we're still going to have the one for night fishing that we had talked about before with Stefanos. Once he gets all of his stuff in line, he's incredibly overloaded with stuff at Sport Fishing Outlet Tackle Shop. So we talked. He's definitely going to be coming on, and some pretty cool captains and other personalities that people know about. And we're going to talk about various species that we haven't necessarily covered in a ton of detail yet. So looking forward to all that. So with that, everybody, thanks again for tuning in. We'll announce who's coming on next week later in the week. So in the middle of all this rain, in the middle of all this wind, somehow find an opportunity to get out there, get on the water, and get some tight lines. See ya. And see ya to my sister, Lisa, who's in the chat right now.